she gave him her eyes to see again, but the truth behind his blindness, and her sacrifice, was buried in a lie he'd spent years hating her for. When he finally regains his sight, she's vanished, leaving only a cryptic letter and a trail of secrets that hint her generosity was a desperate goodbye. Now he's racing to find her, but the clock is ticking, for her, for the truth, and for the love he destroyed before he ever got to see it clearly. Hello everyone, this is Drama Lab, let the story begin. The cold metal of the operating table seeps through my thin gown as I stare at Cale's unconscious form across the room. His chest rises and falls steadily, the anesthesia having pulled him under hours ago. Tomorrow, I tell myself, pressing a hand to my burning eyes. Tomorrow, this debt will be paid. Though we both know, I never owed him a thing. 3 years ago, the car crash stole his sight. In his rage, he decided I'd stolen it. You did this, he'd snarl, voice like shards of glass, whenever I dared to speak. Every bruise, every loss, you deserve it. And so he took everything. Father's business crumbled, leaving him in a cell. Lila vanished without a trace. Mother withered into a ghost of herself, her laughter buried under endless sighs. Now, I'm giving him the last thing I have left. My eyes. The doctor glides in, and a curtain slides shut, separating me from Cale. I turn my head, staring at the blank wall. Goodbye, I whisper to the girl I used to be, the one who'd loved him with a ferocity that scared even her. When I wake, darkness swallows me whole. My eyes are bandaged, and every nerve in my body screams. Easy, love, Mother's voice shaking, her hand brushing my cheek. I reach for her, my fingers fumbling, and she clings to me as if I might vanish too. The doctor says. It went well. For Cale. For me, though, there's no well. 3 days blur into a haze of pain. I lie in a drafty ward, machines beeping like a mocking chorus, when Mother bursts in, her gasps sharp enough to cut through the fog. Alara, she chokes, your eyes, what have you done? I force a smile, my throat raw. It's okay, Mom. Soon. We'll be a family again. She doesn't answer. Later, I hear her sobbing in the hallway, then the doctor's low voice. Motor neuron disease. Late stage. Complications from surgery. A month, maybe less. A month. I count the seconds in the dark. Mother comes back, her face dry but her hands shaking. We're going to Switzerland, she says, too bright. For treatment. I know what that means. Cale's voice echoes in my memory as I lie in the Swiss hospital bed, the snow outside muffling the world. You dead, he'd spat, shoving me into a wall. Every time I close my eyes, I see your face, and I want to burn it off. I'd loved him once. Before the crash, before the blindness turned him cruel. I'd loved the way he laughed at his own jokes, the way he'd tuck a strand of hair behind my ear and say, you're too good for this world. Now, he's the one who made mine a wasteland. The door creaks. Mother's hand finds mine, cold as the snow. It won't hurt, she murmurs. Not for long. I want to beg. I want to tell her I'm scared, that I don't want to leave her alone. But the words stick in my throat. Instead, I squeeze her hand. I love you, Mom. A needle pricks my arm. The darkness thickens, and for a moment, I swear I hear Cale's voice again, not angry, but desperate. Alara. Then nothing. Cale rips the fourth from his arm, the monitor beeping wildly as he sprints down the hospital corridor. The paper crumples in his fist. Alara Voss. Critical. Motor neuron disease. Respiratory failure post-corneal donation. Switzerland. The word hits him like a punch. He'd thought she was gone, had wanted her gone, after she'd abandoned him right when he could see again. But this? He shoves past nurses, his newfound sight blurring at the edges. He'd spent 3 years hating her for a crash that wasn't her fault, for a blindness that had turned him into a monster. He'd watched her father rot in prison, her sister disappear, and never once asked why she stayed, why she'd tended to him, cooked his meals, endured his venom, even when he'd thrown her favorite vase at her head. I'll give you my eyes, she'd said, months ago, her voice steady. He'd laughed. Called her a liar. A manipulator. Now he knows. The airport is a blur of motion. He charters a plane, his hands trembling so hard he can barely sign the paperwork. Please, he prays, for the first time in years. Please let me be too late. The Swiss hospital room is silent when he bursts in, snow clinging to his coat. The bed is empty, the sheets still warm. A nurse gasps, but he doesn't hear her. He sees the wheelchair by the window, a frayed blanket draped over it, and a small box on the nightstand. Inside, a half-finished sweater, a photo of them smiling on a beach, and a letter. Cale, if you're reading this, I'm already gone. I'm sorry I couldn't finish the sweater. I tried, but my hands. Well, you know. You think I owed you, but I never did. Not the crash, not your pain. But I loved you. God, I loved you so much it hurt. I loved you when you called me a liar, when you threw things, when you said you hated me. I loved you even when I knew I was dying. They told me a month. I wanted to see you one last time, but you deserve better than this, than watching me waste away. You deserve happiness, Kale. With someone who isn't broken. I gave you my eyes so you could see the world. Promise me you'll look for the good parts. For me. Goodbye, my love. Alara. He collapses to his knees, the letter crumpling in his fist. The nurse hovers, murmuring something about euthanasia, her mother's choice, but he doesn't process it. He'd gotten his sight back. And now he can see everything. The way she'd flinched when he raised his voice, the bags under her eyes he'd mocked, the way she'd touched her arm self-consciously, hiding the muscle weakness, the first signs of the disease he'd never noticed. He'd called her selfish. But she'd given him everything. Months later, Kale stands in the snow outside a small cottage in Aurora City. The house where Alara grew up, where he'd screamed at her, where she'd packed her bags the night before the surgery. He found Mother there, her eyes hollow. She left this for you, she said, pressing a video camera into his hands. He plays it in the dark, Alara's face flickering on the screen. She's pale, thinner than he remembers, but she smiles. Today's our 963rd day of marriage, she says, holding up the half-finished sweater. Maybe I'll finish it in time for the divorce. She laughs, but her eyes glisten. They say I'm dying, Kale. And I'm scared. But I don't regret it. Not loving you. Not giving you my eyes. The video cuts to black. Kale buries his face in his hands. Outside, the snow falls harder. He thinks of Switzerland, of the empty bed, of the way her letter had smelled like lavender, her favorite. He thinks of all the things he never said. I'm sorry. I love you. Don't go. He travels after that. To the beach in the photo, where he scatters a handful of her ashes into the waves. To the cafe she'd loved, where he orders her favorite tea and talks to her as if she's sitting across the table. To Provence, where lavender fields stretch to the horizon, and he whispers, "You would have loved this." People stare, but he doesn't care. He sees the world through her eyes now, bright, beautiful, full of the good parts she'd wanted him to find. One evening, in a quiet village in Italy, an old woman asks about the small urn he carries. "She's my wife," he says, his voice steady. "The bravest person I ever knew." The woman smiles. "Love like that doesn't die, young man. It just changes form." Kale thinks of Alara's laughter, of the way she'd loved him even at his worst. He thinks of her letter, of her final wish. He looks up at the stars, and for the first time in years, he smiles. "I know," he says. "I can see it now." The wind carries the scent of jasmine, and for a moment, he swears he hears her voice, soft and warm, on the breeze. "I told you so."